If you're running Facebook ads and you're not getting consistent leads, or you're just not getting leads that actually become sales, you're likely doing one of 5 things wrong. It's usually an issue with either your campaign setup, your campaign settings, your ads or offer, your landing page, or even your sales process. You're likely just a few small tweaks away from actually being able to drive profitable growth. I see how quickly this can happen time and time again after taking on new clients. So in this video, I'm gonna walk through a complete A to Z guide on how to actually get leads, and not just leads, but qualified leads. And if we haven't met, my name is Carlos. I've managed paid ads now for the last 9 years full-time, generating thousands of leads for businesses and managing over $100 million in ad spend. Now, just a quick note before we get into the meat of the video, this is not going to be a super in-depth video on each piece. The goal is to cover all of our bases and to make sure you're aware of the things that actually drive the needle for your lead generation business. And yes, I'll still expand on each thing, but just not as deep as I would typically go. That being said, let's just start with the campaign setup or the campaign type, because if you get that wrong, nothing else really matters. Okay, so in regards to campaign type, you have 2 main campaign types on Facebook that you can select for leads. You can either run people to your website and then they fill out a form and they get fired as a website lead, right? That's what you see right here. Or you can have people fill out a in-platform lead form. What does that actually mean and what does it look like? Everybody's seen this. It's essentially a form that when somebody clicks on your ad, a form will pop up like this, right? On the right side right here. And you'll have them answer questions and then they become a lead, right? So one, somebody has to go to your website. The other one, somebody doesn't have to go to your website. So the reason I bring this up is because these 2 different campaign types, you'll see the one that we send to the website, it converts at a significantly higher cost per lead. But the quality of these ones are significantly better. In most cases, this is exactly what I find across most brands. What matters here is how qualified are these leads and are they actually closing the revenue? So for this particular company, I have the close rate metrics and I'll show you just an understanding of what this is from a calculator standpoint. So if we look at the website leads, they're $42 a lead. The one below is $16 a lead. Well, the website leads close at 20%. So we have and on our average order value is $1,000, right? So check this out. We have 208 leads. And if we multiply that by 0.2, we have 41, almost 42 sales. Let's just call it 42 sales here. So we have 42 sales, multiply that by $1,000, well, we get $42,000. If we divide that by $8,800 in ad spend, the actual return on an investment from this campaign is a 4.7. Well, let's do the same thing with this campaign below. We have 558 leads. Well, if we multiply that by 0.05, because this one closes at 5%, we only have 28 purchases. 28 purchases times 1,000 is 28,000. We spent 9,000 on the campaign. It's a 3.1 return on ad spend. So you can just see, like, most people would look at this and go, oh my gosh, I'm gonna turn off the more expensive cost per lead campaign. But again, we're in the business of not just generating leads, but getting cost per qualified leads. So both of these honestly have a pretty good return on ad spend. But the reason I bring up this campaign type is because it's very important to know what you're getting yourselves into. If you're purely optimizing for cost per lead, you're gonna go down a very dark rabbit hole and you're gonna optimize based on things that don't necessarily have the best close rates on them. And so make sure you're aware of these 2 campaign types. Both are going to be a leads objective campaign, but when you go to destination on your campaign setup, you'll see an option to either send traffic to a website, which is my preference, or you can test and send it to an in-platform lead form. And that's what these are essentially down here. So that is number 1. I usually always split test those against each other. For some brands, I actually see the close rate do really, really well in this. And that's why I'm gonna pivot to my next point, and it's going to be on campaign settings, because I see an account do really well with these cost per lead forms, but there's a key setting in them that makes them do well. And so I'm gonna actually show you the account I'm talking about. So the second thing really that you need to be aware of to actually drive more leads and more qualified leads is your actual settings in those 2 campaign types that I just recommended. The setup is essentially the same. The settings are gonna be the same in them. All you're gonna do, I'm in a campaign. This campaign and this account has the in-platform leads do significantly better than the website ones. They're about the same quality and we get a cheaper cost per lead. So that's why we're running them for this ad account. So the settings you're gonna wanna set up for the campaign types that I just recommended are very important, because they're gonna give you the best chance at getting not only qualified leads, but also getting the cheapest cost per qualified lead. And so The first thing you're going to want to do, there's really just two main things, is when we're at the ad set level, we're going to scroll down and we're going to make sure that, yes, we're targeting the right age demographic that's appropriate for us to target. All that's fine. Make sure you target your locations. Yes, but very important part is right here, this exclude section. We are going to want to exclude people who have already become a lead. It makes no sense to keep retargeting people who've become a lead and who have dropped off. Either they were too cold of a lead, or they're just looking for something completely different, or they're a spam lead. We just don't want to include them into reoccurring touch points of our ad spend. And so make sure you exclude. We have last 60 days people who submitted a lead form on the website excluded, and then just a sheet of anybody who's submitted a lead form in the last year. So we're kind of just double dipping here and making sure that we're covering all bases. So that's a number one. And the second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you have a quality filter set up. So you'll see for this brand, we have a require SMS verification. And the reason you require SMS verification when you have an in-platform lead gen campaign is because you'll get a lot of leads if you don't, and a lot of them will be bots, or they'll be people who don't even know what they're doing and they're just submitting things for fun, and then it's going to give you a really poor cost per qualified lead. So again, we're looking for qualified leads. We're looking for real people who want to submit these lead forms. And so two things we do. One, we make the actual lead form extensive. It has to have enough fields on it for us to know, hey, the person who filled this out was being very intentional. You do not want to have a lead form in your campaign that just asks for the phone number and their first name. That doesn't do anything. Most people have that autofill anyways, and it's just going to get you a lot of leads, but none of them are going to be qualified. So make sure you have a longer lead form. And then the second thing is make sure you set up a quality filter. And that's what this is. We require SMS verification for people who actually submit this form. What that essentially does is after they've submitted the form, they have to get a code sent to their phone and then plug it back in to actually fully submit their form. Just an extra layer of quality there that you can fold into your campaigns. Hopping over to the third thing on why you're not getting qualified leads or why you're not getting enough leads, it's simply going to be down to your ad creative, your copy on your ads, or your offer, or a mix of all three usually. And so I just have an example of a couple ads I just made for somebody the other day, and I'll show you what it does really well, and I'll show you what other ads essentially aren't doing, which is just essentially the opposite of this. So if you notice these two things, especially if you're a lead generation business who offers a service to somebody, especially if it's cosmetic, like a home service, then make sure you show a before and after. So the image matters. Make sure the image is relevant to what it is you do. Obviously, these two ads have a great before and after image of the service that we provide, which is deck staining or fence staining. And so make sure you provide those before and afters, or if you're just broad, like let's say you're a roofing company, for example, show a home, a beautiful home in like your actual target area. Let's say you're in San Diego, show some palm trees and maybe a beautiful Spanish tile home in the actual ad, and then have supporting copy on what it is you do and why you're credible, something of that nature, right? Or just have the offer. So for us, for example, on our ads, we have something like this that just gets people invigorated and gets them to desire wanting to reach out to us, right? And getting a free quote, right? So the fastest backyard glow up before and after. Who wouldn't want to transform their backyard? Look at these two before and afters. And then having copy that resonates with our audience is going to be huge. And so do this in a creative way. Like we have upgrade before barbecue season hits, the fastest backyard glow up. Know your customer profile, know what's going to resonate with them. These two things for us always resonate. So we want to be speaking like this. And so this is fine. And then make sure you have an offer. The offer is going to be very simple for us, and most lead generation businesses, it's going to be very simple. It's going to be getting a free quote, something that's very low friction for the end consumer. And so those are really the main components. Image that's relevant. If you can have a before and after, great. Second thing, appropriate ad copy that gets people to click, and then an offer that resonates with the actual copy that you have overlaid on top of the image. So most businesses don't do that. They either have too many things going on in the ad. Make it simple. Your eyes should follow, and it should be very low cognitive latency, meaning somebody should see the ad and within 1 to 2 seconds know what you do immediately. Those are the main things as far as the ads. And then the next thing that really just kind of resonates with the ad, and it's really just a pair, and it's a symbiotic relationship that they share, very important, is the website. And so if you're sending somebody to a website that looks like this, you're likely going to get a very high cost per lead because it's not well optimized. And so make sure your website is simple. Check out the difference between this website where it says welcome to Pipe and Pitch. This is a plumbing company. and I'm like, okay, I have an emergency right now. I need to call somebody. So yes, you can see the call button, but I'm really confused if you even service my area. I don't know if you're credible. I don't know what services you provide, etc. Right? And you want to make sure on your landing page immediately, just like the ad, you want them to understand in the first 3 to 4 seconds what it is you do, where you do it, why you're credible, how they can get in touch with you. So check this website out. This website, immediately see a trustworthy looking guy next to an actual company truck. Immediately that sparks some credibility. You see some condensing AC units in the back, relevant image, and then immediately my eyes are drawn to plumber in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So what do you do? Where do you do it? Immediately answered. And then also I have the image to reinforce my belief around what I think they do or what they're calling out. So those two things go hand in hand. They have credibility right up top, over 2,000 reviews on Google. So they have the Google credibility up here. And then they have call to actions. You can schedule now an appointment or a slot for somebody to come and take a look at your HVAC or your plumbing or whatever it is. And then you have a call button. And so you can call them immediately if you want. So just simplify your landing page. Again, answer those things. What do you do? Where do you do it? Why are you credible? And have a relevant image. And then how can somebody actually get in touch with you? Make it easy for the consumer. This, again, you're having to really dig through and understand. You have to read this wall of text to understand where they operate and what it is they even do. And so make sure you optimize your landing page. This is equally as important as setting up a Facebook lead generation campaign. Sweet. And then last but not least, this is something I find be one of the biggest bottlenecks in lead generation businesses, and that is overlooked. And oftentimes I start here when I onboard a new client. And this is usually the thing that actually gets us to close more deals, is we actually look at the sales team accountability. And so there's 3 main things. There's a lot of things that can be happening, but there's 3 main things I see time and time again around sales teams and lead generation businesses not getting the sales they want, and essentially them thinking that it's the ad's fault when it's actually not. And so the first thing is the follow-up time. If you're taking over 5 minutes to follow up, that lead is going to grow colder and colder and colder. And I promise, depending on the type of service or product that you offer, they are going to another competitor. And if that competitor has the skill to follow up quickly, they are taking that customer from you without a doubt. And so this is again why ad scheduling over the weekend makes sense, because if you don't have anybody to answer calls over the weekend and you're getting leads, no one is going to follow up with that lead until Monday. By Monday, your sales team's going to call them. They're not even going to understand. The consumer is not going to even understand why you're calling them anymore. They're going to say, hey, I already found a solution. No need. So you wasted money acquiring that lead when you should have just scheduled things correctly or had a sales team in place to actually follow up within 5 minutes of that lead being submitted. The second thing that I see is just the strength of the objections or the call. So either what I hear a lot of times, and this is when I work with businesses, I implement a software called Call Tracking Metrics. This allows business owners to actually hear and understand the type of calls that are being intaked by the team and how the sales team is handling these. A lot of times you have very low energy people who sound like they hate their job, and it's no wonder why somebody's gonna go, oh, you know what, it's okay, I'll go find something else. Or you have an energetic salesperson, but they don't know how to handle objections. And so this level of data to the business owner is really important so they can train their team and give feedback. And ultimately, that's the thing that's going to get leads to close is your sales team. It's a symbiotic relationship. You need both. Last but not least is I have follow-up on here twice. I have the first follow-up is following up after somebody submits a lead form, right? The second type of follow-up I have is the persistence of follow-up, meaning if you call somebody, you talk to them, they say, hey, totally fine, I just want to make sure everything makes sense with my wife, whatever, and you kind of handle that objection, and they say that they want you to come out for, let's just say, an assessment or whatever. I'm talking about following up with that lead until the next point of contact. If you don't have any follow-up touch points, meaning a phone call or an email going out to this person on what they can expect between now and the next time you speak to them, you're letting, again, the lead grow colder and colder. And depending on how urgent their need is, if it's not very urgent, this is usually where things kind of just decline and the consumer goes, I don't really need it anymore. It's fine. But if you have these follow-up touch points, you keep that lead hot until they actually become a customer. Okay, so to recap, the 5-step checklist to make sure that you actually get leads that you want on Facebook, either at a cheaper cost or better quality leads, is your campaign type and setup. And that is, again, sending people to either your website or the in-platform leads, testing those against each other, the settings associated to those to make sure that you're not wasting money or to make sure you're getting better qualified leads, your ads and your offer on your ads, your landing page, and then last but not least is the sales team accountability. Audit your sales process and make sure that you're not wasting money. Hope this helps. As always, let me know if you guys have any questions.